This is Your Health, a podcast of the Integrated Health and Social Services University Network for West Central Montreal.
Hello and welcome to Your Health. I'm Barry Morgan. You've heard the expression, you are what you eat. What does that mean when it comes to cancer? Is there a correlation between what we eat and cancer prevention? Are there foods that help cancer patients during treatment? This podcast will delve into how the Stroll Family Cancer Prevention Center informs patients on nutrition and cancer and uncovers the benefits of consuming certain foods to either avoid a cancer diagnosis or increase well-being when diagnosed. The Cancer Prevention Center is part of the Siegel Cancer Center at the Jewish General Hospital, member facility of CIUS West Central Montreal. And with me is Dr. Michael Pollack, the center's director. Doctor, thank you for being here, first of all.
It's a pleasure.
So are there certain foods that are actually proven to prevent cancer?
Although people have looked for such foods, they really are not. We cannot prevent cancer completely by eating something special. But having said that, there are dietary habits that tend to lower cancer risk, and there are other dietary habits that tend to increase cancer risk. Of course, you're going to find some people who have bad diets but still have no cancer, and you're going to find other people who eat properly but do get cancer. So it's a question of influencing the odds rather than offering guarantees.
So no guarantees, like you say. So how can you influence the odds in somebody's favor where diet is concerned?
The most important thing is not to eat too much. It's not so much a question of avoiding certain foods or selecting certain foods. That does have a role, as I'll mention in a moment. But a key point is simply not to eat too much. Don't become obese, and especially one should try to avoid components of the diet that are unfortunately a little more common than they should be in our current society.
Such as?
Such as sweets. We should look at sugar not as a poison, but as a spice. So just like you have a little pepper from time to time, you can use sugar in the same way as you use pepper for a dash of sweetness. But the idea that you should have grams and grams of sugar as one of your main dietary components, that's unhealthy.
And is it a key when it comes to cancer diagnosis?
Well, current research is suggesting that too much sugar really is a negative. In other words, as I say, it's not a poison, it's not a carcinogen, it does not guarantee you'll get cancer. But if you want to lower your risk, it's worthwhile cutting your consumption of sugars.
How much are we talking about? And I know you can't talk to every individual, but generally speaking, on a daily or weekly basis, how much sugar should really be the limit?
We don't have a cutoff because as you go down the sugar consumption, your risk goes lower, lower, and lower. So we advise, as I said, as low as you can go. We're not saying that sugar is a poison, but use it as a spice. A guideline that I would use, for example, is sugary soft drinks, never.
Never.
Never. There's no need to have a sugary soft drink. It's actually not only is there lots of sugar there, but it's the worst form because it's provided to your digestive system in a manner that creates sudden absorption, causing your blood sugar to go very high very quickly. And it's just not a natural food. Although it's common in our society, during evolution, sugar was not really available. In the Middle Ages and before, the only real kind of sweetness you could have maybe would be honey. And honey was never available in such huge quantities. So the high consumption of sugar, I would say it's common in our society, but if you look at human history, it's not really something we call natural.
What about foods that, as you suggested off the top, they may not prevent cancer, but certainly healthier foods, healthier options?
Healthier options are vegetables, fruits, and seafood, fish. These are the components of the diet that are either neutral or positive, whereas excess barbecued meats, excess sugars are in the group that we would recommend minimizing.
Why barbecued meats? Why does that have a negative effect?
In the process of barbecuing, fats in the meat get burnt. And some of the chemicals that arise from those processes have carcinogenic properties. They're weak carcinogenic properties. It's not like inhaling cigarette smoke, which is much more dangerous. But I'm just saying that if a person is saying, is there anything I can do, it would be advised not to have, a hamburger alternating with a steak every day of the week.
Mm-hmm. Again, moderation.
Moderation.
Usually a rule of thumb, maybe once a week or so, especially with the warm weather.
I have a barbecue once a week in the summer and almost never in the winter.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Can we talk about certain foods that potentially could be helpful when somebody's actually diagnosed? Maybe before diagnosis, during treatment, post-treatment?
Well, it's more of the same. With respect to during treatment, we used to think that giving supplements like antioxidants might be a good idea. But we're really, and I think the scientific community in general is now much less enthusiastic about supplements, including antioxidants, because we've learned that these antioxidants actually are very useful to the cancer cells themselves. So that when we give supplements, yes, we may be protecting the host a little bit, but some cancers will say, thank you very much. I really appreciated that supplement.
Huh.
So we advise a balanced diet without excess supplements.
In general, vegetables, you got to get your fruits and vegetables in every day, which I guess is a concern for you because in this fast food society in which we live, and we already talked about sugar, and the opportunity for people to go to drive-through. I mean, the quick meals doesn't really lend itself, I guess, these days very easily for people who are, in general, really trying to watch their diet and be careful.
Yeah. Some commercial businesses, restaurants, are becoming sensitized to the increasing demand for healthier foods. I have no commercial links to any of them, but I'll just point out that, at some blocks you'll see one of those, healthier restaurants like Copper Branch, and next to it you'll see a conventional fast food outlet. And, perhaps 5 years ago, the healthier one might be going out of business. Now, even though the meal there might cost a few dollars more, those restaurants are doing better. They're becoming more viable because there's an increasing demand for healthier food.
Do oncologists work with nutritionists, doctor?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We do. In the past, the work of nutritionists in cancer patients was very restricted and based on one part of the whole landscape, which is that people who are really in trouble with advanced cancers tend to lose weight. And we called in dietitians to kind of encourage these people to eat as much as they could at that sort of stage of advanced cancer. We now recognize that there may be some role for that, but really the important part of nutrition and cancer occurs long before that. And it's really more important to do what you can with your diet to minimize risk than it is to kind of just try to eat lots when you're actually having an advanced tumor.
And doctor, how does the Cancer Prevention Center actually help and offer support to cancer patients?
The capacity of the Prevention Center is limited. We don't really have the resources to offer advice to the broad population of the city or the province. What we do have is demonstration projects, and we do have projects that are intended to help the public understand. So from time to time, a few times a year, we have public events with lectures which are educational, reviewing in more detail the kind of topics that we're talking about now. We also offer specific services for subgroups of people who are at particular risk and who may have the most to gain by optimizing their diet. The best example of that is people who have been found to have colon polyps. people who have colon polyps are at increased risk of later on in their life getting colon cancer. And that risk can be reduced by paying attention to diet. So we work with our colleagues in gastroenterology and people who are found to have polyps at the time of colonoscopy are referred to our unit for dietary advice.
So, doctor, again, don't get rid of sugar entirely from your diet, but try to reduce it as much as you possibly can.
Absolutely. Recognize that high amounts of sugar, notwithstanding what the soft drink industry is telling you, is actually an unusual and unhealthy and most importantly unnecessary kind of food.
And no superfood out there to prevent cancer, but common sense, fruit, vegetables.
Right.
Like
we can't tell you eat this special spice or eat this special plant and it'll make you immune from cancer. We'd love it if that was true. There may be some quacks who have such claims, but really there's no food that you can eat that will make you guaranteed not to get cancer.
Doctor, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Really appreciate your time. Dr. Michael Pollack is the director of the Stroll Family Cancer Prevention Center, part of the Siegel Cancer Center at the Jewish General Hospital, a member facility of CIUS West Central Montreal. And that's it for this edition of Your Health. Thank you for joining us. To hear our previous programs, you can find them at podcast.ciuswestcentral.ca. That's podcast.ciusswestcentral.ca. And let us know if there's a topic you'd like us to explore in the future. I'm Barry Morgan. Until next time.
You've been listening to Your Health, a podcast of the Integrated Health and Social Services University Network for West Central Montreal.